looks like we're about to do that. Who did it? It wasn't me. Okay.
Make sure you've got the recording.
So that was because of that.
Are you recording for the town?
Yep. Oh, Otter's here. All right, we're ready. Okay. So, to all those present here physically and in Zoom land, welcome to the last regular town board meeting of 2003. First item of business, are there additions or deletions to the agenda? There are at least two. With appointing the meeting secretary. In as much as the clerk and the deputy clerk are unavailable. Why don't we do it straight away?
Yes. I move we appoint Mariah as the secretary.
Second that.
Now we vote.
All right.
Yes. Absent. Hunter? Yes. Woodward? Yes. Gannon?
Yeah. And then we have this request with the computer, which I think we should move down to what, end of business?
Yes.
Anything else?
I don't know what you just did, Joel.
We just put the second addition to the agenda down under business. 9.5. Any other additions or deletions? None? Is there anyone who'd like to address the board on Rhonda?
Okay, I just wanted to mention that when you click on Planner Greg Hutnick's report, and then you go down all the way to the bottom of 9.3 newsletter and website, 2024 planning, the documents are the same.
Yep.
And I didn't know if that was intentional or what, so I thought I would mention it. Thank you.
You saw it evidently.
Yeah, I did too.
I did not, but I didn't look.
Yeah.
Any idea what's going on with it?
Huh? None.
No, no idea.
It just, the planner report ended up 2 spots.
Oh.
I don't know.
Okay.
Wow.
Ed.
Hi there. Couple things in order. Actually, I'll do it backwards. Agenda item 9.3 newsletter and website planning unfortunately calls up the planner's report, not what was probably intended there. So it's impossible to comment on it. However, I will, excuse me.
Right now.
Tell you what's supposed to link to.
I'm sorry, you're very soft. Could you repeat?
I can tell you what it was intended to link to, which is in the meeting folders, which is a guideline that was proposed.
Is this accessible to me?
Well,
No.
it isn't right now because the link wasn't made. The link would have had to be made by the clerk when I asked her to do it earlier in the day. And I thought she had done it, which is why it's highlighted, but it evidently didn't happen. I
Well,
don't know how to make it available to you.
yeah, no need to
You
point
won't do it
fingers.
today.
Yeah, no need to point fingers. I'm just pointing out that that is something that I would certainly like to comment on, but I can't because there's no information. It's, you know, that's just the way it is.
What the document is.
Joe, he's doing it.
Yeah, please, you know, I don't want to take your time up, so please, response is not necessary. I'd like to just point out that the town already spends a good deal more on both its website and its newsletter than it really needs to. And that in fact, I see no good reason why you shouldn't simply kill two birds or help two birds with one stone by purchasing space in the existing Danby News, which could cut your costs down perhaps 50%. The other thing that caught my eye in here is the request to buy the Office Mac computer. And I have two comments about that. First of all, I think it's very important that the town maintain a significant presence of Mac computers in its working, so that you have an easy way to ensure that what I presume is a fairly significant proportion of the town that views the web using a Mac is in fact able to see it, as opposed to ending up designing things that work for PCs. Second, I took a quick look at the write-up on it. It's an estimated value of $1,000. I don't know, it does not specify what model it is, but you have to get to a pretty souped up and modern MacBook Pro to get $1,000 estimated retail value, according to a very reliable source on the web, everymac.com. I suspect that its value is not $1,000. And in fact, I'd be happy to do the research if you want to establish what might be a fair value. I not only track websites like that, I track actual sales through private sales online, which would be more appropriate. This is not a retail sale. This is a private sale. And they tend to go for anywhere from 25 to 30, 40, 50% less. So I'm just saying, I'd love the town to get a lot of money out of it if they want to sell it, but I don't want, I'd like to see a really fair value. That's it, other than if somebody has a chance, might be nice to swing the camera a little bit. All I see on the left side of the screen is an empty chair. And please try to use your microphones. Thanks.
Good try.
What? What does it mean?
We see all of us, so it doesn't matter.
You might mean the stuff behind you. Here's the empty chair right here.
Yeah, I mean, you can see everybody who's here.
Yes, everybody's on the screen. Everybody is on the screen.
There you go.
Yeah, thanks for that little move there. I was actually thinking about being able to see someone who might come up to the microphone.
Right, which could happen.
Yeah.
Anybody else for privilege of the floor? Seeing none. Oh.
Those captions on.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Kathy's waiting to get in. Oh, so Laura.
I will just say while Joel's doing that, for the record, when it is hard to hear, because I have the same problem, sometimes at home and sometimes here, and I put the closed captioning on. It's not perfect, but it does help.
Thank you. And it has, that closed captioning has improved a lot recently. It's actually readable.
Mhm. Gotten better.
Oh, right. It works especially when people talk to the microphone.
So somebody's enabled closed caption.
Me, I do it a lot.
Good for you.
It helps me a lot.
Okay,
Correspondence.
correspondence, right. One that I'm aware of. However, an announcement, which is kind of correspondence, we got the multi-family housing rehab grant that we applied for, City of BG, for 153,000 change. It was a good. And the letter is attached to the agenda. anybody wants to take a look at it. There is, no presence here by Dan Klein. Let's see. Oh, and Laura's here. Keith is not. Anything, anything?
I'm here.
Anything, from highway?
No, not really. It's just our normal thing. This time of year, filling potholes, making sure roads are prepared right for the, for the upcoming season. Keeping things ready for when this weather does decide to break from good to bad.
It's been amazing so far.
Are there any other people sitting out there waiting to get on to this meeting? Because I waited quite a long time. I was just wondering if you guys were having trouble.
No, the problem is that the navigator is me, and I didn't notice he was sitting in the waiting room.
No
But-
problem.
Everybody's in
I'm here,
now.
thank you. I was just wanted to bring it up in case somebody else was waiting.
So Catherine was. It was a good thing she mentioned it, because then I noticed that you were waiting too.
Oh, okay.
You could simply disable the waiting room because you're going to let anybody in anyway.
It's true. I knew how to do that.
Doesn't matter.
It's under the security button.
Now.
Planner.
Yes, Greg couldn't make it, so he submitted his report on paper this time, in electronic form. And it is appended for anyone who wants to look at it. I didn't have a chance to look at it myself, but as he reported verbally at the planning board meeting last night, it contains much the same information. Minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes that we could consider approving. December 5th and November 20th.
Move that we accept December 5th. Second. Oh, 5th. 5th, yeah. What'd you say?
December, you said 6th.
I thought you said that. Got it.
Moved and seconded, yes, any discussion?
Not real, I mean, there were a couple little tiny minor things.
But I think Mary got them all.
Well, they're appointing a meeting secretary. I didn't see, the person's name in there that got appointed.
Oh,
And that's important.
okay. How did they not?
That's the main, and I emailed you.
Well, I've never seen there's a motion, a resolution.
Yeah,
With the
resolution's
vote.
there, resolution to appoint meeting secretary.
Without saying who it was.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Minor detail.
She is so modest, she didn't want to brag about being appointed.
And the other, I'd like to hold off on that. November 20th.
Oh,
That's not the motion.
That's not the motion, right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're
Didn't we
discussing-
vote yet?
No, no, there's a discussion.
Are we done discussing?
Yeah,
Yes.
I guess we're ready.
Connors,
Yes.
Hanson?
Not
Oh,
yet.
pardon, I'm sorry.
I'm still not yes.
Hunter, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Woodward? Gannon?
Yes. So you want to hold off on the 20th?
Yeah, yep.
Which brings us to the warrants. What's that?
I think it's Charlie.
Mhm.
It's.
Yeah. All right, so we not all got linked to the agenda because, well, because the clerk didn't get them all done this one.
We got.
Yeah, we got, well, Laura pitched it,
Florida.
but, they didn't get linked. Because they were done,
Oh,
they
right.
were done so late. Janice was teaching and she had to leave, and so she didn't get it. Even though they were sent to her, she didn't get it linked. She did link the highway fund and make the other links, one which was wrong, you know. So we have the information in here. with which to do it.
I'd like to, move the general fund vouchers 396 through 409 for 23,389 cents.
Second. I'm sorry, could you tell me those numbers again? It's right here, it's in the agenda.
Mhm.
Hey, Laura,
Yes,
do you by any chance have the abstract number 24 in front of you?
Mm,
I
no,
just,
I don't. No, I do not.
I don't know why, I'd have to go back and look, but I thought that the last voucher in the 24 was 394. But, if we skip a number, it's not the end of the world, right?
She added something at the last minute last.
No,
time.
that was, yeah, but that was,
No. You know what I'll do? I will go back and double check
okay, I don't
everything.
skip a number.
Mhm.
And I'll let Mariah know, if they need a different numbering sequence.
Okay, anyway, that's it.
No, there was two
Thank
things
you.
added.
I like to say additions, but, didn't make it over there.
I'm sorry, I just want to be clear here. We're talking about highway fund.
No,
No, it's
general,
General.
So far it's been moved
General fund, yeah, that's what we have.
and seconded?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I have one comment. I noticed the Danby Community Park Association line, the voucher, indicates it's for fire insurance. It's not for fire. It's a general liability policy.
I wondered about that, why it says fire.
Yeah, it's not fire. I said, we can burn in the park.
Oh, I
It
didn't-
turns out that the organization with whom they have the insurance is such and such fire insurance, but that's not, but it's a non-profit insurance package that they got, which is what is in their budget that we.
Okay.
Yeah. It is for general insurance. It's not fire insurance.
But I figured out. So, any other discussion? So,
Connors,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Gannon.
yeah,
I'd like to, move the highway fund vouchers 239 to 248 for $23,512.89.
Second.
any discussion? No?
Connors,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodward.
Yes.
Gannon. Gannon.
Yan.
Gannon.
Yes. I'll move the water fund.
A second.
Vouchers
No.
39 for $63.40.
Second.
Discussion. They're broken down.
Yeah.
Don't cover actually. All right, good.
Excellent. Connors,
Yep.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Gannon.
Yes. Okay, creation of a court audit committee. I got the.
Thanks,
annual
everybody.
letter. You're welcome.
Welcome.
Thanks for your hard work getting it to us.
Yeah.
I got the annual letter from the court saying we're ready to be audited.
Oh, I
Um,
think Pat wants to do it.
you are good.
Look at that face.
So it's a board responsibility to audit, of course.
Right. We had Pat and Leslie did it last year.
Yeah, so maybe, the other two need to do it this year.
Paul and I, we can nominate Paul without him being here.
Yeah, that's it, but you have to not be here,
Bad idea.
right? Bad idea.
Well, then it's me and one of you two.
I'll do it.
All right.
Okay.
So, I move that Pat and Catherine be our auditing group.
I'll second that.
Move that.
I did.
I, no, me,
Centers.
yeah, oh, yeah,
And Connors,
yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Daniel.
Reluctantly.
I know.
Yes. I would, note to the auditing group that, receiving a list of the things that are supposed to be audited is not the same thing as looking at the documents that are supposed to be looked at.
Well, maybe Laura could give a little tutorial, or maybe even Pat could. She
Yeah,
did
this
it
was
last
supposed to
year.
happen last year when they gave us the list and we never did.
There's a checklist. We have a
Yeah.
checklist that will come from there.
But it's not, getting a checklist with things checked off is not the same thing as going through the checklist and looking at the documents to which they refer and then checking
You're
them off.
exactly right. As you go through the checklist, you need to have all the documents in front of you, and you can verify each thing so that you can go through them all. And then, I mean, it's not for the court to go through and check things off. It's for you guys to check things off as you see them.
But it's not really an audit. They're telling you what you should, what they want you to see.
That's their audit, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, the audit is looking at the documents that are.
Let's
on
go
the
on.
checklist.
Did we
Did we
vote?
vote? We did
Yeah, we
vote.
did vote.
We did.
Yeah.
Do did we do an audit of the clerk's office?
I did.
You
Steve-
did.
Steve and I did that last year.
Did you?
Oh, okay.
That needs to happen too, right? That too needs to happen.
Hey, not on our agenda for tonight.
Yeah, nope.
You want, that should happen at the end of the year too. shouldn't it?
I don't know, well, you just
Yeah,
did
actually, it
it
doesn't
within a year?
It could be most any time, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I mean, if
Can
Steve,
you wait,
it was
because
sometime in
theirs was later on.
23.
He wasn't even on the board until
That's
halfway
true.
through the year.
Obviously before he left, but I thought we did it in the summer.
Sometime in
Yeah,
23.
it doesn't have to be in the beginning.
Okay.
Just
So we have
sort of a snapshot look at. Or we could do it later.
Well, there was a whole document there too. Steve had it. And,
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a checklist for that one. no doubt.
yeah.
And, I hate to mention it, the board should also audit the supervisor.
let's all do that.
Okay.
Request to seek modification of state enabling legislation for tax abatement. This was a topic of lengthy discussion at the Conservation Advisory Council meeting. You recall that there was considerable consternation, both on the part of CAC and the town board, when we discovered that existing easements were not eligible under the existing legislative authorization to participate in the abatement. I was told that, not only existing easements not eligible, but easements not with the town are not eligible. So anybody who did one with the Nature Conservancy or with the Finger Lake Land Trust, they're not eligible either. Only new easements with the town of Danby are eligible. That was not what we intended. And is way short of the objective, which was to provide tax relief to large landowners. So, of course,
Well-
now what? So what the CAC, so I talked to Guy, just to confirm that in fact is what it says, and asked him, is there a workaround? He said, well, if you could make a case for a particular easement or expanding its scope or making it more restrictive,
Revising it? you mean?
basically redo it, but that would only apply to town ones anyway.
Right.
And it's a bit of a stretch, I think. The alternative is to go back to the legislature for, different authorization. So that was the recommendation of the Conservation Advisory Council, was that we go back to our legislators and basically strategize with them how best to get our main objectives better addressed, whether by modifying the law that was passed on our behalf, enabling us to do this, or something totally different. So I'm bringing this forward to see if we can agree to do that. You know, approach Anna Kellis and Leah Webb with the objective of saying, how do we get what we need here?
I'm in favor of that.
Me too. Yep.
So, yeah, so we might make it formal. Hang on.
Sure, go ahead.
I move that we approach our state legislators with a request to work with us to find appropriate authorization to accomplish our objective of tax relief for large landowners.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Oh, you got that one.
I second that, and you just,
Yeah. Can I say it again? Maybe.
I missed a word too. Could you?
Yeah.
At least one, I thought that.
It has to be paraphrased.
That's fine.
It's on the recording. I mean, to paraphrase, you know, is to approach the state legislators, to work with them to come up with a strategy for addressing our real objective, which is to get tax relief to large landowners.
I think,
I
yeah.
have another question really quick.
Sure.
How would I didn't know that we intended that also to happen for people with land trusts, et cetera, et cetera. The first I've heard that.
Yeah, I didn't know. But
Well, I mean,
I thought this was for the Danby easement.
That's what it was, so now you know.
well, it turned out it was, but that doesn't do any good for people who have committed to permanent easements.
But you're claiming that that was a change, but it's not a change.
Not a change.
We asked for Danby.
Yeah, but it wasn't really clear in the enabling legislation that it was specific to Danby easements. It was,
Oh, I
if
thought
there
it-
were going to be new easements, I mean, what was new in that legislation was the ability to do temporary easements, which nobody had done, and still nobody has. But that legislation enabled us to do temporary easements,
right,
which we hadn't done before,
right,
as well as the permanent easements that we were already doing. And
right, but I mean, I
That's not
know
the
all the
question.
discussions I participated in, it had to do with the Danby, the town of Danby's
Right.
conservation easements. I mean, we talked about, you know, how much it costs to do them and what, you know, what,
yeah, yeah.
I never thought it was going to be included for Finger Lakes Land Trust or something. They can go for their own.
Right.
Well, what do you want to talk about? Do you think it's inappropriate to include others?
Should ask them
Somewhat.
first, would be nice.
I don't,
Well, I mean, it's all voluntary. So, I mean, it's not like a landowner who has an easement has to participate in the tax abatement. They'd have to apply for the abatement. But they would be, if we had an authorization within our local law that enabled them to participate, they could apply if they wanted to. They wouldn't have to. Nobody has to.
yeah,
It's a separate thing. You have to
Yeah, I
have
never
the easement,
thought
and
it
you
was
have to
gonna be
apply.
for others.
You're changing what the original proposal was.
Well, the original proposal was to basically copy the legislation that had been passed in other.
But it was the town giving the easements or holding the easements. It wasn't somebody else holding the easements. I mean, the program was run by the towns. But,
Yeah.
I mean,
And evidently, that's how it was, how it was done elsewhere. But back in the beginning, you know, when this initiative first surfaced, so to speak, it came out of the working group that
right,
attended the very first meeting of the planning group.
yeah,
That was focused on how do we get tax relief to large landowners. And that group found, I think Ted's responsible for finding
yeah,
this law, which pre-existed and already applied
right,
in
yeah.
three other places.
But those
They,
easements were held by the towns.
Yes,
towns, they were
you're not
towns.
answering the question.
right, they were held by this.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think
And,
it's opening up a
so-
whole other ballgame.
Well, so the group thought that that would serve the purpose here in Danby. And, we didn't think through how this is going to apply to existing easements at all,
Right.
because, existing easements are not all with the town.
And new ones might not all be with the town either.
That's correct.
So you're changing what the proposal is. We're not fixing what we asked for. You're adding more.
Well,
I
I guess what I would say is fixing what we asked for doesn't really solve the problem completely. Because the objective was to provide tax relief for large landowners. And some of those large landowners have existing easements, and some of them are not with the town. So, they can't, if they've already got a conservation easement with the land trust or with the Nature Conservancy or somebody else, they can't turn around and do another one with the town of Danby in order to participate in our tax abatement. They're basically cut out, and can't participate. As it turns out, you're cut out if you have an existing easement with the town of Danby as well. In other words, none of the.
Yeah, those are the ones that I assumed we were going to try and help.
Right, that was the
grab.
issue, was taking care of the ones that already have an easement with the town, being able to participate, not the other, whether it's existing or new,
I mean,
from alternative agencies.
the Finger Lakes Land Trust holds those easements. They should
should ask.
They should be,
And they have paid
Trying to
staff
get-
and everything to do it.
yeah.
Well, I mean, you can look at it as they have done all of the work to protect that land in Danby that we would have had to do if they had applied for town easement.
Then it makes more sense for them to request an easement on their own, for a tax abatement on their own easements, not for us to ask on their behalf, unless we talk to them first. Why are we doing this without talking to them?
Pat, are you talking about, why aren't we talking to land trusts, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah.
It's probably not a bad idea to
No, it's
confer with them.
well, I mean, doesn't affect them at all.
Well,
It affects the people who have the easements.
right,
I assumed that the law referred to the people who were getting easements from the town.
Yes.
The easement
It is
that
the law.
can,
That turns out to be correct.
okay. So what I thought we were talking about right now is trying to find some way to get those people who have gotten easements from us already
Mhm.
to include them in somehow.
Right.
By opening it up, it's a whole different can of worms. I mean, I'd rather have that separate. We can talk with Finger Lakes Land Trust down the road or something, but right now, I don't want to, I'd rather stick to trying to get the people who have already got current easements with the town of Danby to be able to participate somehow. Whether it be altering their easements by adding 5 acre, I don't know.
I can tell you, they already covered it.
By
The whole
changing.
thing, and, you have a hard time.
Yeah, well, I mean, that makes sense to me, but I don't feel like the town of Danby should be, trying to go after, tax abatement things for other entities that have already, I assume that they're, I know that,
It's not other entities, it's other property owners.
yeah, but their easements are held by the other
Other
entities.
entities.
Right, which
That's what I-
involves another entity.
I mean, there may be something down the road, but this discussion I thought was about.
And all the previous discussions have said that the real problem is that the law that didn't apply to existing easements that we own. That's why all the previous discussion says we want to extend that. So this changes the previous discussions, and I'd rather stick to the previous discussions. Extended for easements that are already held by the town of Danby.
And I'm saying, if we're gonna go back to the legislature, why not deal with the bigger picture? Because the driving force in the first place was, how do we get tax relief to large landowners? Not, how do we get a mechanism for dealing with a subset of the problem? This legislation was only focused in on because it was pre-existing.
I don't know. I mean, there's lots of things that were initially, 5-year easements were one, I mean, there's lots of things that were originally thought of. I think we've got the law. If we have a problem with it and we would like to try and find some way to get those people who took out easements with the town of Danby some the ability to utilize a tax abatement, I'm all for that.
So you're basically you're telling me that you're not really interested in doing tax abatement for all large landowners.
You know what? If we could get into this, because
Yeah.
I am all for tax abatement for anybody who takes out a conservation easement, not just large landowners. I mean, if somebody's got 20 acres and it's great land, I'm all for conservation easement on that property. So no, I'm not,
Okay, and I hear what you're saying, and
Yeah.
and I don't disagree. The reason the large landowner was used in my resolution, and I'm happy to modify it if you want, is that the benefit is primarily to large landowners because the abatement is only on the land. So,
Right.
On smaller properties, generally speaking, people have a house or something, it's gonna be the lion's share of the assessed value. The abatement of the taxes on the land for a smaller parcel is not a whole heck of a lot of money.
I think if you want to change it, I think you need to go back and we need to, get information on what are the easements? Who are they? Where are they? Who holds the easements? And talk to those people and talk to the easement holders. Other than that, I don't think we should be
Right, can we
even talking
just
about it.
cut to the chase and just do this on that and leave the language open that the town of Danby would like you to look back into, not restricting people who have, to include all people who did an easement with the town. And then go back and do what you're suggesting at a separate time.
Right, that's what we ought to do, because then
The
it'd
law
be
is
noticed in
a
advance.
Town law, it's not, I mean, we're
No,
actually
it's a state law, actually. It's a state law that enabled us to do it.
enabled the town to do it.
Yeah, so if we're gonna go back to the state,
Okay, I think we need to take this off for tonight and then
well, that's the
figure
part,
it out.
that's what I'm thinking, is that maybe we should have a discussion
Yeah.
about what is the scope of what we want before we go to anybody.
And let's find out what the repercussions are for us if we start giving a tax abatement to, I don't even know how many land easements or trusts there are in the town of Danby.
We did that analysis, when we were looking at this.
Okay, but I don't know what it is right now.
We don't have the data right in front of us now, so we can't choose and vote on it without having the data now. So we'll postpone this till the next meeting or later.
Yeah, okay, but, I would like to, although we might postpone that, I'd like to have some directionality to what it is that we're going to do to address this issue.
The direction that what you're hearing from 3 board members sitting here is that we want to have more investigation about how many easements there are that are not town easements. And we want to see that so that we can see
What could
and
be the tax
and what the
implications.
tax implication is for the town of Danby. How many are there? What are these easements?
Yeah, okay, I mean, I think we had that information in hand when we did this analysis.
I mean, it's kind of too bad that to, start on trying to get, I think it's too bad that this is going to hold up trying to get this for the people who have already got town easements.
Then we could make a motion
Well, we
to
got-
just, then we with, okay, we can vote on your motion.
Well, we could, but my motion was broader than what you had intended.
That's right, so it'll be deleted.
Yeah.
So you
Well, I
want to
could just
withdraw?
withdraw it.
Okay, then I move that we talk to the state legislatures about modifying the state regulations to allow homeowners that have an existing easement through the town to also take part in the abatement program.
Yeah, landowners,
What'd I say?
homeowners.
Oh, right, sorry.
And I don't think we should do that. Not because I don't think it should be done, but I don't think we should focus in so narrowly on only one aspect of what was our,
I never, ever thought that we would do tax abatements for Finger Lakes Land Trust.
Me either.
I just never did.
It's not a matter of making us sound like we're saying we don't care, we don't want it. It wasn't the focus of this. And if you're worried about having it be a delay for how soon they get it, then we just say this should be done so that by the second meeting in January, we have the data to look at.
Yeah, I would just assume,
It's not likely that anything will happen at the end of this year.
this is true. I think we should just back up a little bit. You know, I think we should,
I think that's what we just said.
readdress the whole question of what are we trying to do and for whom are we trying
I
to do
think we
it?
just said that. So I'm asking what Pat said,
Or what Pat said, paraphrase, is that we should pursue, with the state, getting the existing legislation modified so that we can include other easements than the ones that have other, you know, that were put in place after we got passed the local law.
What? No, before, they got easements before we got the law.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
Town
Yeah,
easements.
it's the other half of
Was
what,
it-
the other way of looking
It
at what
was
I
town
thought you said.
easements, town easements.
Yeah, yeah,
Town
easements.
yeah, town easement.
Did I second that?
I don't remember.
Anyway,
Mariah. Yeah, just
Hold on.
Yeah.
Everyone,
We'll help
The
it.
first motion was
Withdrawn.
withdrawn.
Right.
Yeah,
So we're not going back to that.
No,
To approach the state legislators about modifying
yeah.
the state law
the state law.
to allow landowners who had an easement prior,
a town easement.
County.
the town easements prior to the law taking effect, to still be able to take part in the tax abatement program. More or less what I said.
Yeah, I second that.
And there's been, before you say any more, there's been a lot of discussion.
Yeah, let's
So
vote.
wait, I would like
I
to
don't want to
say,
see a rush of judgment on.
well, I would like to say, I do not see why we have to do this until January. I think we should withdraw this, but put it off until January, because it gives everybody a chance to think. No legislator is gonna be working on it this week,
Sure.
and probably not the first week. The town has a lot of tax things to be done. And we have, organizational meetings coming up. I
So
think it's
maybe
not.
February.
February, yep.
Yeah, the reason I don't support it is because I don't think we should go to the state with more than one request. I mean, I'd like to.
I hear that,
And
then let's
before
just wait.
Before we go to the state, I think we should have our internal, discussion about what are we really after, and go from there.
And it's possible that people who have, read the minutes of the meetings or pay attention to this will chime in from the community and say,
Yeah, we can ask for it, and certainly this is a discussion for the CAC. And I'm going to let Ted say a few words here.
No, so,
Yeah,
so,
come on.
So-
It's on the group.
so
That-
it doesn't matter, okay? It's
matter.
privilege of the floor is done.
Yeah,
Joel,
No, it doesn't.
Joel, so the CAC is interested in opening it up to,
we haven't had the discussion.
okay, I want that to happen. So have that happen.
The discussion at the CAC was that we were all surprised to find that existing easements couldn't participate.
a little more than
Property owners
surprised.
with existing easements couldn't participate.
Right.
I don't recall how much discussion was there for, this also applied for, anybody else. that
I
had-
heard no other discussion, just town easements, and this is the first time that I've heard it, and I've been at the CAC meetings, and if I missed it, I may have.
Yeah,
But I still don't think that it's relevant if we just table the motion for now. That would be my recommendation, table it. I hear what you're saying, I understand what you're saying, and I don't want to this is so different from what we thought we were gonna do, that I'm not comfortable.
So we need to get more information and get.
well, we need to have a discussion about what do we really want.
Well, I know where you're going with that.
Yeah.
But it's also, it's, we need to get feedback from the CAC, and get information about what are we talking about?
Yeah,
And, you know, what does it mean for the future?
right.
You know, when, you know, somebody with, 500 acres puts it in with the land trust, and, we need to look at everything, so.
Yeah.
That's the thing at the table, it'll
Right.
February.
And for all we know, if we considered that, it's possible that the land trust and some of those people have more sway with the school board. I mean, so this is too much change tonight.
Well, I mean, we're not anywhere with it, because other than.
Well, yes, you're asking us to vote and do it.
Well, I did, I went through it, my motion. What's being asked here is that we pursue this modification in state legislation, which I think we shouldn't do until we have that.
I hear you.
That's all.
You've said that a bunch of times, in fact, and Pat, it's up to you whether you want to withdraw that one or not.
My inclination is to at least have that in place so that we can actually talk to people ahead of time. And then the fact that it could apply to other agency in the future would be added on to it. But at least we can start talking to somebody now or the 1st of January.
Well,
I don't want to go to Leah or to Anna without clarity regarding what it is we're really trying to accomplish. And this whole thing was an approach to getting property tax relief for mostly large landowners. It's for any landowner, for anybody with an easement.
wait, no, those are two different things, and that's the problem right here.
Yeah.
We are saying, I recall it as a town easement, and you're saying large landowners. You keep saying large landowners, and that, if that's what it says in there, and we send the letter, then it covers large landowners, period. If it doesn't say that, if it says town, then you're asking us right now to adjust a resolution that was already made and passed, and we're uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, well,
And I hear what you're saying about not asking them twice,
Okay, so.
but that's my opinion.
get
What it's
back
worth.
in the CAC and get more information from.
we should have a discussion, my personal opinion, and I've expressed it before, is that, land, vacant land, undeveloped land, doesn't mean anything in services. And yet, it's paying taxes on the basis of what it could be.
Disagrees with that.
Nobody's disagreeing.
Nobody, it's.
That's not the point.
I mean, for me, it's, this was a program for people that had easements held by the town. And that's all I ever thought it was gonna be. This is a whole different ballgame. So if you don't wanna check with the legislators about helping people who already have easements with the town, you wanna open it up to other things. It's a whole new discussion. We need to get the CAC feedback. We need to get information from the Finger Lakes Land Trust. Who else holds easements in town? How many acres are we talking about? And what's their plans for the future? So that's what I feel like we need to do. And we're not gonna do anything in December or January. So maybe
Yeah.
February.
So, I mean, this was talked about,
So that's enough.
everybody else can talk, but I.
I'll withdraw.
No, I don't
You have
ever
talked.
remember.
I'll withdraw. Next item on the agenda.
I don't ever remember.
Okay.
About Finger Lakes.
Yeah, I just want to leave it at that, but we do have a consensus of where to go with it, which is sit back to CAC and talk, general discussion.
And
That's
to
fine.
get information.
And also get
That's a
information on
start.
what would the implications be if anybody with an easement had this opportunity.
We need to talk to the Finger Lakes Land Trust and anybody else who holds easements also.
Right.
They could,
Why is that relevant?
Because you said you wanted to have it open to any other easement who's
Yeah, but
in
any
all
other,
of Danby.
any other property owner with an easement, regardless of with whom the easement is.
That's what we just all said.
Yeah, but why does it matter who
what
holds the
if,
easement?
okay, next year, well, it's not just who holds an easement. What if somebody with, the Finger Lakes Land Trust goes after this character over here who's got, 600 acres?
What if the,
Wouldn't they be eligible for the easement?
Why not?
I'm saying, wouldn't they be eligible for the easement?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
That's a huge, we're talking about a huge impact.
and the Danby State Forest?
So
That the town has no control over whatsoever.
we need to just get information, we need to talk to who Who else besides the town in Fiddler's Land holds easements? Maybe nobody.
But there's at least a couple of
Okay, well,
Few
we have
questions.
that information.
nature conservancy.
We can,
And,
yeah.
What I'm saying is it doesn't, if we were to broaden it to include properties that have conservation easements on them, regardless of who the holding organization is, it doesn't matter who that is, it's just whether or not those properties are eligible or not.
We need that data first, and we've already said we're holding it until the next meeting, so we don't need more discussion. We should move on.
That's, I don't think we said the next meeting.
No, not
No, no, no.
necessarily the next meeting.
Next meeting.
Sure, once we have the meeting, once you have the information in hand, right? No, because if it's going to go to the CAC, that's not going to be before the next meeting.
Right,
So we'll come back to it.
right.
And the next item on the agenda, we need
So it's
to
not-
skip because there was no data that anybody has access to, including me.
Well,
Well, I don't know about that.
Newsletter and website planning. The link was not there, so we have no information, so we need to
Well,
wait
what's
till the
it-
link is there.
As I was going to say, but was told which the appropriate place was not in privilege of the floor, the appropriate place to say it is now, what that was linking to was, when we were, it's the draft of the guidelines for the Danby News, when it was, when the question of it being contracted by the town to produce, the newsletter. It's a content and editorial guidelines for it that I proposed. That never got, we didn't go anywhere with it because instead of doing that, we took it on ourselves. But if we were going to have a group to take it on, it's not a bad place to jump off with as far as saying, here's what's allowable in a town newsletter, because we're constrained. We can't do everything that a newspaper would do. And our constraints are pretty well expressed in that document. So it's a good starting place, I thought.
But we didn't have it before the meeting, and honestly, I didn't go back and look at it because I don't know what it had to do with, so we can't talk about it now. We need to wait
No, we
till the
don't.
next meeting.
We don't necessarily, yeah. I didn't
Yeah,
necessarily mean to have a discussion that was focused on that. I want to have a plan for how we address a context for creating a newsletter and for dealing with the website going forward. Because, I don't think you want to keep doing it.
Hell no. Please.
So, yeah, so,
Through this or,
Yeah, so-
This is for the newsletter.
yeah, so a couple of things that I'm thinking is that there ought to be some sort of oversight group.
Yeah.
I tried to contact Erin about, how much she would do if she were to do it, and I got a reply. I don't know how much she sent to everybody, or just to me. And it was a little disappointing, because what she basically said was, I was more thinking in terms of what I could suggest, and not so much do. So she was basically saying she doesn't have the bandwidth, she doesn't have the time, or nor is she suitably equipped to currently to do it without, bringing herself more up to date and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
we'll have to.
So she may not be a newsletter person or website either.
No, that she wasn't interested. She was interested in the newsletter, so.
Yeah, so I was a little disappointed with that, so.
Yeah, mainly I thought she was willing to.
Because what I asked her was,
Right, I thought she was interested in layout, period.
yeah, that's what I want, that's what I was trying to get to. How much were you willing to do? Are you putting it together? You want other people to give you the stuff to put in?
Yeah.
When the last time we farmed this out, the whole process was farmed out, from the submission to editing to, formatting it and mailing it. The whole thing was handled by the Danby County Council. And then we took over the whole thing when we made it a town publication. So, So there's a bunch of questions to ask going forward. If we're gonna have somebody else do part of it, what part of it are they doing?
Yeah.
And what kind of guidance do they have? So, you know, if we're gonna ask somebody to take over the, you know, dealing with the submissions and creating the newsletter, they have to have some guidance on what's okay to put in. People who might submit have to have some indications of what's okay to submit. But this is a stab in that direction.
What's not on this that you would like to see, because it's more than we're talking.
Well, it doesn't have, I don't, in truth, I didn't read through it myself completely,
Not now.
not now, right?
Right.
But what I don't remember is whether or not it has a provision for an oversight group or,
I thought it did. I mean, this is something
It
that's
might.
been around for more than the last year, more than 2 years.
well,
It was
it's
something
been
that
around
was-
since just before we took over. But,
No, it's been longer than that, because,
well, no, this hasn't been around long. The
Okay, this-
guidelines
yes,
pre-exist,
the guidelines
and
were,
and this was a redo,
okay,
which incorporated what went before and went a little bit beyond it.
okay,
Because we were trying to introduce additional clarity.
okay.
So we, you know.
So the
I'm not-
question you had was, does it have oversight in it?
Yeah, so
Let us.
so this
try
is
answer.
only,
Actually,
maybe only content oriented and not
right,
whether it has some sort of oversight or review. And that depends on whether, on what whoever does it is interested in doing. You know, I mean, if we're thinking in terms of Erin, you know, maybe she didn't want to
no, we're not,
worry about, you know, taking the submissions and deciding what's, you know, what's okay to put in and what's not. In which case, there's a process, I think, in there for, you know, making sure that it's reviewing it before it goes out.
Right.
I think it is in there.
yes, that's
how
what
it
we
gets,
just said, yes.
yeah. How it
Leslie
gets
said yes.
reviewed.
I would-
Yeah, it's I think it's a three-person group
Yeah.
that's supposed to be charged with providing oversight. And in the interest of expediency, you know, one of them could do it, you know, in any given month so it can get timely to press. But there's a process, you know, it's a different process.
We already have 2 people volunteering to look into that, so that's what they should be doing.
We'll try and come back with something.
Yeah, we need, so,
January.
couple, you know, we need to review that, and decide whether that's a good structure going forward. We also need to solicit interest in doing it.
It'd be a good thing to start looking at what we want first, and then
Yeah.
explore who might be interested in it, and not count on just one person that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So the same thing with the website. We're not
Yeah.
ready to do this. We're ready to say we want to do something.
Right, well, with the website, what we could do, is, well, it's 9.4. You know, all of the links that are in the website now will have to get redone when we move over.
Right, so I
So it
think
needs
we're
a
putting the
structure.
cart before the
Right,
horse.
right.
We need to find out, we need to get moved through Zoho first.
Out of Zoho.
How does that, but,
I'm actually looking at Mariah for a little guidance. She knows more about
Yeah.
some of this than we do. Maybe
we
she,
talked a little bit about it too.
I know, but I'm asking her because I gotta look on, I've got it look like she might answer.
Okay, I think that, I haven't, actually started,
Right,
and, training has been sparse.
right, exactly.
So.
Microphone, please.
What's that? Oh, is your mic on?
Okay, so I haven't really had a chance to look, I don't even know what we use for the website. So, it could be that, depending on what it is you want, the changes that you want in the website, that I could handle that. I don't know if you want a completely revamped website, that's out of my, purview, but I could certainly, update and make some changes. Once we move over to Microsoft Office 365, I think, TCNS will be able to help us with those links. And we can also make some
Yes.
relatively minor updates to the website, per your, you know, whatever it is that you're.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's premature for us to be doing much of this at all right now.
Right. We don't have the changes in place.
Right.
But I do think we need some revamping on the website, not just, transfer one place to another.
Right.
Yeah,
Reorganizing, yeah.
But we can do the transfer and then update later, yes, yes. So this is too soon to do now, so.
We can do updates and just small updates and.
Exactly.
As we move along.
That's right.
Right.
well, and what we started down the road of looking at other websites that we thought were good, and then finding out who it is that is behind, nicer website, and Mariah done some research on it.
Yes.
Other websites too. And that's not a bad way to approach it, to find people who are good at this, who could do the website portion of it. The maintenance, putting things on it is going to be a shared function, primarily coordinated by the clerk, because part of records, I would say, this is how we build a job in taxes, information central.
Originally, we talked about having each department be able to update their individual pages.
Yes, right.
Yes.
To
Right.
train people to do that themselves, whether it be highway or code or what, that they could, actually do their own pages.
Right, and then somebody needs to be in a position of training them to
Uh-huh.
do that.
Yeah,
So that may be what
Yep.
where we're headed with it. And, it remains to be seen whether or not, I don't know what you'd be doing, right? Whether that's something you can take on or whether we have to have
It
somebody.
depends.
We don't know that information yet, so we need to move on.
well, there are things we have to figure out.
The reason this is on the agenda is so that
It's December.
we can get to it.
Yeah.
We have a plan for,
Yeah.
saying that we're not ready to do this yet is not a plan.
Right, no,
We have a
no,
plan.
it's not.
We have a plan at least for the newsletter to start working on those specifications.
Yeah.
That will be coming up.
Yeah,
I hear two
We can put a
people,
committee on the website as well if we need to.
okay. Well, we want to do that.
I think I'd really like to just get oriented
Yeah.
in the town of the
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
on the website, it seems to me that we can probably live with what we've got
yeah,
for a while.
right,
It's not imperative that things change
Right.
in January.
right.
Um,
And the
I mean,
same
if
thing for the
everything
newsletter.
changes in January, then it changes again when we go to 360, I mean,
Right, there's no
it's
sense in
kinda silly.
changing and major changes
So,
until we get to
yeah.
365.
Yeah,
well, I'm not so sure. I mean, I don't see them as necessarily, linked. There are things that could be improved on the website
yeah, we could make some improvements.
without having to change
Yeah.
what the links go to. You mean?
Yes, improvements could be made.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
Yeah, we could
those
change
sticky
some
things
things.
on there. That could be,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
seems like that could be addressed.
yeah,
Uh,
hopefully, yeah,
And the other thing that needs to be, I think we all recognize needs to happen is that, we need to have a place for, stuff that's in Zoho, in Work Drive, Writer, to move to, when we move over to 365.
won't they help us with that?
Yes, they will.
Who's they?
TCN.
TCNS, that's why we're paying our money.
Yeah,
Well, from the communications I've seen with them, I don't remember them anywhere ever indicating that they would give us a structure for where it would move to. I think they said they would help with us moving the stuff, but they
What they said.
recommended that we have a place, that we have a structure to move it
What
to.
they said and what we have talked about is that we
Okay.
need an organizational chart of that. And that is something that we can ask the town departments to work with us,
Mm.
not now, but starting in January.
Cool.
The main thing is time, get us through this year, get us through the changes and let us do, if there are minor things we want to do on the website, make it so the banner isn't covering something up, whatever,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
make it, things like that's not a problem. And the same thing with the newsletter. Pat has agreed that
Doing it.
she's willing to do we're doing the January right now.
Tomorrow, by the way, tomorrow,
Right.
I want everything in tomorrow.
Right, and then if we get to in the process of February, if that's what it takes, then we start with the March newsletter.
Yeah, yeah.
And give us time to do these things, and give
Carefully.
Mariah a chance to
Yeah.
have her
I have no-
input. You might, exactly,
Yeah.
right,
I wasn't,
Yeah.
suggesting anything else. What I was suggesting is something where we could do, and while we're waiting, in fact, is to address what's the structure?
Yeah.
How should the information be
Yeah.
organized?
Yeah.
In the place where it's gonna move to. Yeah, which is to say,
Also-
so that when the move happens, which is not gonna happen just right away, you know, we have a structure in place to say, here's how it's organized.
right.
So,
And so
Joel,
we should be working on that. I'm just trying to get that process organized.
so that's an IT
Yeah.
project?
Yeah.
So we have an IT project manager with
Yeah.
GCNS, and she will help us to
Yeah.
build that structure. I will absolutely be on that team, and I will report to you exactly how it's gonna go.
Good.
Okay, I mean, that's all I want.
Yeah.
Just so.
You got it.
Somebody focusing some attention on it, and so,
Yeah.
not saying we're holding off on
Yeah.
everything.
And look, no, and we'll work on we can certainly get going on the newsletter stuff. And maybe we can come up with something before the next meeting.
Yeah, and I think one of my submissions, I mentioned is, requesting, if anybody's interested in doing this, whether they, you know. We should put that in there. Anybody interested in doing a newsletter going forward? You know, if we're interested, let us know. No, because we're looking for somebody. We're looking, I think the article said, we're looking to make it a new improved newsletter going forward, and looking to hire somebody to put it out. If you're interested, let us know. Let me know, I think it says.
There's nothing wrong with
Cool.
saying something like that, but it's too broad. We already ran
Yeah.
into that when we suggested that, people might want to look into the website, and we got the person who was superbly interested is not superbly prepared. So I think that getting the format from,
Would be better.
right, and then
Be more
it
helpful.
would be good to do
Yeah.
that after we're a little more settled.
Yeah, because there's a whole lot going on. So
Right.
talking about just saying do the newsletter, there's no such thing as do the newsletter. It's not well defined.
Well,
Okay,
that's
well,
fine.
guarantee
go to
that.
Pat Woodward and get trained.
Say what?
Yeah, right. How to do this.
Say what?
So she, as we move to 365, the
Yeah.
newsletter's gonna be in a whole different.
Yeah, and I would,
Yes.
I do not want to have anybody have to do 1 month in Zoho. That is stupid. Wait until it's 365. They can use good software instead of crap.
So you're gonna do it until we get 360.
We're doing that soon, right? Tell me yes? Okay.
I don't know, maybe April?
March,
Well, I don't know.
March is good. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, March is good.
We have goals, we do want to do this, Joel, we're not ignoring the change, we do want to do it, we just want to get through the end of year things that we have to do, and that let the town office work on tax, the tax
Yeah.
program.
No, I mean,
Get adapted to the other issues like how to do
Yeah.
abstracts, I mean, there's a lot of stuff for Mariah to learn. And we are asking her to help us with some of the IT, which she said so we need to be prepared to have a timeline that she can manage with us in the partnership.
Yeah, if we hired the newsletter done, it would necessarily have to have.
Well, you just jumped back to newsletter, we've been on newsletter, we've been on
Well,
website.
both of these things are,
We already have a plan in place, so I think we should just move on and let this take effect and then look at it in the probably the second meeting in January and see, and especially find out when the 365. That makes a huge difference in terms of everything after this case. And that affects the timeline.
well, my thought was.
We just
if-
spent 45 minutes on this.
We got the time, nothing else, but much else on the agenda, so I don't think
Yeah.
we're beating a dead horse here. The newsletter, if we were to farm it out, depending on who takes it on, they may be doing it on their own machine, using their own
Right.
software, then it won't matter whether we've got Zoho or
Yeah,
365, if we just give them the information and they'll put it out.
No,
Right,
that's
that
not
could be.
actually, that's not completely accurate.
No.
What we want to have is coordination so that with the website, so that the newsletter can be published online and in paper. And that the
Mhm.
coordination does require a relationship with our software for doing that.
Yes,
So
it does, it does.
No,
What you
it's a
said is
lot.
not
It-
correct. You don't even know.
It does, you cannot,
Yeah.
what has been, it has required more coordination and we're headed
Well, I mean,
into.
your instruction to Jen was just put it up the way it is. Don't mess with it. Janice was doing things to it, for an online version. That
Oh,
was
right.
not just what was in the printed version.
Right,
She was
right.
creating links, and
Just
adding
adding
additional
content.
information.
Yeah.
And at some point in time, you basically said, don't do that. Just put it on the way it is. It seems to me just putting it on the way it is not terribly demanding task, regardless of whether we're on Zoho platform or.
Do you want links?
It might not be.
Or not?
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The links were part of it.
Yes,
And
they-
then the
But the-
software relationship anyway.
Doesn't seem like a huge.
you haven't ever
What were the-
done it. So you're talking about something you don't
When
have
you're
direct
talking about the
experience with.
links.
So why don't we just wait and get a time when we can work on it?
On the website.
What?
Leslie asked me about the links and my understanding of what we're talking about. And again, I think we're in the weeds right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are that links that we might want to have in the print version should appear also on the online version. That would be what would be nice. And right now, that's very difficult with the constraints of the program that's available to be used. So I'm
Well-
asking you one more time if we can please hold off on this.
please hold off on this. And let's move on to the next thing on the agenda.
The idea of what you want, if you want an enhanced better newsletter, let us try to get there,
Yeah.
please.
Well, I certainly wanted it on certain, but
Okay.
So the hard copy has links in it?
they're not links. They're,
You can't make a link in a
Right,
hard copy,
right.
but you can- when it's-
they're
URLs
that you could plug
Right.
in, you can
Okay,
just plug it
so
all
when
in.
it puts into
Which
the,
is a big
yeah,
thing.
that's
if you
a-
wanna type it. So it only works on an online version, but we'd like to have the same kind of, but
Oh.
if it's in the paper, I shouldn't say it that way. The people who
If you got it in
receive,
electronic form, then it is a link.
great, and the broadband is not supported well enough in the town for it to just be that.
Just be that, no.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
I feel like
Cool.
I'm deep in the weeds here and it's getting worse instead of getting
Yeah.
better. We're working on getting a better newsletter. The more, not that this is a bad newsletter, you want a more inclusive or something.
Yeah, bigger, better.
Okay.
But-
And we have to talk about there's gonna be a financial issue and everything, so,
We did this in the budget.
yes.
But I was just trying to move it in the direction of what do we need to do to get to where we want to go.
well, Catherine and I are gonna get together and talk about this newsletter.
Right.
Framework for it.
Guidelines.
Yeah.
And, the flow and who does what. And, well, I mean, it might not have a name, but, person A needs to, but we'll flush this out.
So, I mean, you made a good point, which is regarding, what, before we, solicit interest, we
Yeah.
have to have a
Right.
clear idea what it is that we expect somebody to do.
Right.
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 So,
And this could involve 4 people. I mean, this involves 3,
that's 3
So-
people plus somebody putting it together.
right,
Uh,
right.
And
right.
that might suffice for soliciting interest to say, your job would be to,
Get information
Fill in
from
the blank.
yeah.
to,
Yeah.
what, the scope needs to be clarified.
Yeah.
Is the job to, accept submissions,
Right,
deal with it and produce the thing?
right.
Or is it just to, take what we give you and put it together and then we'll get it out?
right,
You know,
right,
to decide what the scope of the job.
right,
is.
right.
Before, I would like to see, if
Right.
we're gonna do something like this, I'd like to see examples that somebody can do. I don't wanna see somebody say, oh, I could do that.
Yeah, yeah.
I wanna see examples of what somebody can do, not,
Yeah.
not, yes, I can do that.
Cat's got a lot of examples.
Yes.
We should want to do it.
She's doing it in Zoho, which is
Yeah.
a pretty cumbersome program.
Yeah.
Oh, it sucks.
Yeah,
So, right, sucks, can I put that in the agenda?
Yeah.
So
Big time.
I think we really need to wait until we have office, because
Yeah.
when we have office, it might just be a dream. for
Yeah.
us to do.
and she might actually like it,
She might submit a resume and example,
right?
anyway.
Good point.
Yeah, and I guess I would, if that's a possibility, that's,
Yeah, totally,
we might go there instead
Yeah.
of hiring a guy instead.
right, right,
Especially since I do it for nothing.
right.
I appreciate that
Price
idea.
is right.
Okay,
All right,
So we'll
so,
just,
with respect to the newsletter, that Leslie and Catherine are gonna.
Yeah.
Look at the
we'll
context.
come back with something.
And with respect to the framework, the structure for storage,
The structure, you mean on the website?
no,
9.4 on the agenda.
no, I'm talking about, currently we have our cloud storage is
Oh,
in Work Drive and in Writer. And we're going to move it to the equivalent space in 365.
Correct.
But we're not going to move the structure that we've got in 365 because we think it's not very well organized. It's not what you would want.
can it be moved and then changed?
Yes, and that's what it's better to do, so we have some idea how to do it
And the
easily.
point is
And
that,
that's the clerk can help immensely on doing that, once she has a chance to do it.
Now, that's not what I was hearing from Drew.
he was
Which is that
suggesting change it first.
it makes more sense to have structure that you a sensible place to move things to, and then you just move things where you want them, and not move it wholesale and then try to reorganize it after you move it.
Okay,
Broadly defined, broad categories that then, the example was something like if you have something called highway photos and something else called photos of highway, then you have a problem with dumping it. So the example was selecting the departments to have, like, we could say, if we're gonna even use that word department, then let's, for right now, have the highway planning, DAC, whatever, have these different places, and then within that, there could be minutes, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that, and that, he was talking about that kind of organization. I'm sure that we will need to tweak things eventually anyway.
No doubt. But, you know. we just
Mariah was
get it
in on
the
some of the
ballpark.
conversation with,
I'd like to propose a structure for the website based on,
What is the
some
web, the
other.
website? you think?
We're just talking about now cloud
Right now, we're
storage,
talking
Oh,
about.
cloud storage, oh.
how to organize the content
Cloud
on
storage.
Well, we're gonna need that for the web as well, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
yeah, it would be the
perhaps
same.
Coming up with this structure,
Yeah.
how we wanna organize all this town information, how about if I come to the board with a proposal?
Oh, thank you so much.
That would be great.
Yes,
Would be.
okay, done with that one. Oh,
I was
cool.
gonna suggest that we, you know, we don't have to reinvent the wheel here because this is being done. If we could,
That's what she's going to
If we
do,
could
so we
what?
don't have to talk about it.
we could check with other towns. and
Yeah.
see How theirs is
She's
organized.
been
Yeah,
on
doing
it.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that would
Yeah.
be the way I would do it. We'd see. How do others do this? You know, you see one you like and then we can go from there.
Well, and then it would be nice to get together, would this work for us? Is this how we look for the information?
Yeah, yeah.
Because,
So
I
a
mean, 'cause that's
proposal.
one of
not
the
a bad
problems
place
is
to
that we've
start.
got organization that isn't functional, it's not
Right.
intuitive and,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
okay.
I mean, what we've got, I have a hunch, that what we have was not based on what anybody else was doing,
No.
but was what, Janice in her wisdom thought would be a great way to organize our
Right,
cloud
right,
storage.
right,
And which most of us are saying, what?
right. Well, we should have had more input.
Yeah.
Right,
well,
but what I think that one other little thing that we could have, and I love this expression, but we need, Napoleon's lieutenant. So that when we do these things, we ask Napoleon's lieutenant or somebody else who's not involved, can you please go to look
Oh,
at
yes.
it and find this? And if they say, I can't find it, we did something wrong.
Yeah.
And that's why it involves time and
Yeah.
careful consideration.
Yeah,
Yeah. So organizing I haven't thought about that, that the website is also organized in much the same.
right, right,
Yeah.
right.
It's not a complete mirror, because there's a bunch of stuff in our cloud storage which is not accessible to the public.
Sure.
And that's part of the organizational structure too, is what's sort of, within the house information that's not accessible to the public, and how that's stored differently. So that it's clear what is and what isn't. But,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but,
Clarity Connect.
it would be easy to improve. No, I think having proposed something.
So we're at 9.5, which is from the additions.
Yeah, it's what?
From the additions, the MAC. We can't do anything with that until we get more information.
I would very much like to have that say, I'd very much like to work on the map.
Yeah, I mean,
And I think, Ted's point taken is that, in terms of, graphics and.
Yeah,
I think having a
Yeah.
map on site would be super beneficial. Yeah.
it could be very useful. It's certainly not clear that it's not. So if we follow our procedures anyway, before we divest ourselves of our equipment, we determine whether it has any utility to anybody.
right.
And that's not gonna, I mean, you need to try it out and see whether it works for you.
Yeah.
Tell me, and Drew needs to weigh in too, because it was a question of whether or not, I know SCT didn't like supporting that.
Yeah, but
And Janice tells me that PCNS is not supporting the map. And I asked, why not? And he said, well, because they never got around to it.
Right. What he said is that it can be supported. But the reason for changing most of the documents is regarding the security issue.
Mhm.
So again, this is something that they can be consulted on which parts of things, like if we did the newsletter and things like that on the Mac, and some other things graphic wise, that'd be fine.
Yes, and particularly when the information is stored in the cloud. It's not, according to Janice, I don't have any reason to doubt it. She, most of the information, she was keen from the get-go, because she's the one who wanted us to enable collaboration and get away from siloization and away from paper documents. And she wanted everything to be electronic. She wanted electronic, and she wanted it stored in the cloud. So there's very little, according to her, that's stored on her machine. It's mostly in Word Drive, but it's not all there. There's some stuff that the non-public part, well, that may be stored in Zoho too, but in different locations. And you have to have a key to the kingdom to know that.
We need to make sure that we have the key.
Yeah, because there's the master control, so to speak, determines who has access to what, and that's the clerk.
Right,
Uh,
right.
So we are not going to consider that request.
Right, well, I guess we
Okay.
could say it's premature. Well,
Withdrawn.
well, it hasn't been proposed.
No,
So we're not going to consider it now.
I guess we could say for the record that, it's premature to be considering, disposing.
We may need
until
that, we may
until
need that.
determine whether it's useful to us.
Right,
Um, That will. take
whether
a
it's
little-
useful to anybody in,
Your-
highway,
Yeah.
it could be anybody. But if there's a use for it for graphics
Yeah,
and
the
things,
planner might want to use,
Yeah.
that, might be able to do some mapping. on
Yep.
it.
Yep,
So, Mariah gets to try.
we
it out,
need to
see what
find,
she
we
likes.
need to,
And that was the last item on the agenda.
Well, except for her, I have that time. I think, as usual, then the first meeting in January is going to be a 6,500 resolutions of, organizing, it's up to organizing the meeting. Yes. Well, it's
all done in writing, so it should be okay.
it's mostly my responsibility to put that together. So,
January 2nd.
our next meeting.
is it really January 2nd?
No, we moved it.
No, we didn't move the first one. The
January
second one
1st is Monday, January 2nd is Tuesday, it's the first Tuesday. Because January 1st is New Year's Day, and we weren't meeting New Year's Day, so we're
That's
meeting on the old schedule, January 2nd. We start the Mondays, starting the second meeting in January.
That's correct. We did change to starting with the second meeting.
Yeah,
Right,
Um,
which will be on a Monday.
yeah,
yes,
I thought it was later than that, but it's January 2nd.
it's the first Monday in the month is when we've always been meeting, and that's January 2nd. Like I said,
First Tuesday.
first Tuesday.
Yeah, that's right. That would be the second.
Yes, correct.
And we're okay with that.
The first Tuesday
Yeah.
in January.
That's pretty soon.
I know.
It's like,
Oh,
Yeah,
Less than 2 weeks.
he has.
oh, jeez,
You gotta get this is organizing the meeting.
get a headache.
I'll be gone for a week. Well, not a whole week, but maybe Saturday, coming back Wednesday.
Well, I have the old, standard skeleton of the organizational
Yeah,
thing.
me
I
too.
can send it to you. Oh,
I like-
I've got it.
Yeah.
well, some of the stuff is
Although
left
it's not
off.
on the current computer, it's on my old computer.
Yeah,
It's in Word drive someplace too, because, what we did last week. there.
right. Well,
Anyway, I'll mess with
I'm
it.
missing stuff, yeah.
Try and get it to you, so you can, make sure it has the whole scope of things.
Yeah, if you send it to me, I'll look at it.
Yeah. We've got things like, the appointments and so forth.
Yeah.
And have we asked the chairs of the committees whether they're, willing
Yeah.
to stay on?
And they all said yes. I only had one question about,
Is that true for the CAC, because we had co-chairs there?
yeah. The what?
The CAC has
As far as I know,
co-chairs.
they,
Okay,
we did get that one other,
yeah, our planning board appointment,
from Kavari was his last name. The,
probably should have interviewed that person.
I mean, it would be nice to, the other thing we used to do when we got applications was say, come to meetings.
Yes,
I don't, it would be good if we could, I could maybe email him and ask him to, come to a few meetings.
I thought, we're apt, it won't be too far into the year before we get into the, convening a group to do the, review of the comprehensive plan.
Oh, yeah,
And that would be a great place to plug somebody with an interested plan in.
yeah. Yeah,
But, the private planning, well, we probably should interview it, at least, give a shot at it, even though we have it, if you continuing member, it would be a foregone conclusion that we would reappoint. So we could still do it.
yeah. We'd have to do it at the beginning of the meeting.
Do we have a meeting for this, do we have a meeting for this person?
Kavari, K-O-A-K. Yeah, I do have it.
K-O-V-A-R-I.
Yeah,
Okay. Got it.
be nice if we did have people consider attending at least 2 meetings before they consider actually submitting an
Yeah.
application for many of these boards, because
Would
we
be
get,
great, but, it's hard to get applicants at all.
Jason.
well,
We can, but that's something we can consider for
Yeah,
next year
I-
and put it in as new policy. We can't
right, I know, I'm not, yeah,
But
I think it would
it's
just
not a good
doesn't
idea
make
to,
sense.
it's a good
for
idea to
us
put in a new policy.
Right,
What is in the policy? That we suggest that people come to meetings.
No,
suggesting
this is stronger than that. If we want them to come to a meeting before they're considered or before they apply, that's stronger than
I
suggesting.
would, I mean, I would want it to go.
probably, yeah, we suggest that they
It's a
attend
strong
before
suggestion, but
submitting.
Yeah,
making a
it's-
requirement is
It's
kind of
really hard
too
to
much, I think.
get motivated to attend meetings if the possibility you might get appointed someday.
Yeah.
It kind of, like, we have,
What do they do
we've got a
up there?
provision in,
They're sleeping.
You know, they, some
Well,
people do
there are
realize that it's
occasional,
important to come.
outstanding exceptions.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, it would be really helpful if
But
people
they're unusual.
did get a chance to come and you learn about the town, et cetera, et cetera. Learn how things currently work, what things a
Or
person
not.
might want to put in their application for things they might
Yeah.
want to change or participate in.
Um,
I think the planning idea for the comprehensive plan thoughts is probably a good place to get
I
people.
mean, we still don't have anybody, expressing interest in the MC.
Right?
That's a very important county level committee. And we got extra spots on the CAC and the
Youth commission.
that if we could get people interested, it'd be nice. So I wrote about that too.
Yeah, a lot of the people are interested if they have, it's children. You know,
Yeah.
children thing is, you know, it's an issue.
And, in contemporary society, almost all households have, both parents have to work.
Right.
And then you've got childcare, deal with.
Right.
And and who's got any time left after all that?
Right.
Once upon a time, if you had one decent wage earner, it was enough to support a family, spouse could, volunteer.
Yep.
But, that's increasingly rare.
Wow.
So what should we do with, Jason? Should we ask, I mean, we can,
You want to invite him to the interview?
it have to be January 2nd.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we think it may be. Oh, I think,
You want to ask him?
yeah, before you decide, who to put on,
Yeah.
just to be.
I mean, I feel like I didn't get the application until like the day after our last meeting,
I
so.
think you're right about that. It was a
It
late
came,
application.
well, no, I think it came on time, but it came after we didn't get it until after the meeting.
Yeah.
'Cause I think he did get it in before the deadline.
Just to be clear, we should.
Yeah.
I think that's the only one for which there was any, competition, right? Way more than one applicant
Right.
per position.
Right.
So it's the way to go. Okay, anything else for the next time?
I think, I don't think there'll be any room to add anything.
Yeah.
I think there was some, well, we did make the announcement about the change of dates. We make,
Yeah.
to make sure that's on the website.
Right. Next meeting is at the previously determined time. January 2nd. All right, thank you all for coming. Meeting adjourned.